Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today I'm doing a small wooden sign tutorial, this exact sign. So if you want to see how I do this and how you can do it as well, stick around.
Deck the halls with boughs of holly, la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, la 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 la. Done we know our game.
Hey guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel below. Hit the notification bell right next to the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future content. And hit the like button for this video if you want to see more content like it. So to start, this is everything you're going to need. You're going to want some kind of canvas. I'm using a wooden palette that I've already put together. You can see that I have stained. I took it apart. I stained these pieces of wood and then place them around the edges, and then you'll need a CRICUT machine or some type of stencil making machine. I have a bowl for my black paint that I'm going to do. I have two foam brushes, my Mod Podge, my stencil vinyl, and my CRICUT mat. And I also will need a measuring tape because I'm going to measure how long this canvas is that I'm going to need, so I'll know how big my stencil needs to be. First things first is we need to measure the space we're going to be putting our stencil vinyl on. So it is 2 feet across and we'll say 7 inches tall. So that's what we know we're working with. All right, we're going to do a new design. We'll make this big. And all we need is the letters. So we're going to do choose joy. So first the letters choose. So I want joy to be bigger. I'll say 7 inches height by 9 inches width. So there's that. And we'll change this font to be, I want more of a handwriting font, so this one's pretty. Joy. All right, and then for choose, we want that to be a little bit smaller, so we'll say 2 inches by 6 inches. Now, these letters on joy are all disconnected, so what we want to do is go to the advanced setting right here and ungroup the letters. This makes each letter individual. So then I can move it over to connect the J, the O, and the Y. So I'm going to hit my command button and choose each of these, and I'm going to weld them. So now this makes this all one piece, and you can see over here it took it from 3 different letters to 1 word. So now I want to choose a different font for this. Let's do one of my favorite fonts. Yeah. So we're going to go back and check the height and the width. So we want that to be 2 and that to be, I think it's 6 or 7, I can't remember. And then we also want to check that font as well because I think I decided I wanted that to be like 9 inches by 6-ish. I'll just see when it looks normal. All right. Choose joy. Now, what we can do is we can click this one and this one. So you click both of them and you hit attach. Now you can go to make it and you'll see that it is about 16 inches long and 8 inches tall. That is perfect. So we are not going to mirror this, but what we do need, I was wrong, I don't need the 12 by 12, I need the 24 by 12, so I'm going to pull that one down, and we're going to cut these letters, and then I'll show you how to stencil them on. Okay, so now that our stencil is cut, I'm going to remove it from the CRICUT mat slowly in case anything pulled. And actually it's easier if you pull the mat away from the stencil. It keeps it from rolling up too much. And I'll just place that off to the side. And then what I like to do is cut this down to size, so I know I need to look for the end of my stencil there and cut this little edge off because it's excess and I don't need it. And then same for this, I need to look for the very top of the design, and then I'm going to cut that away like that. Now because this is my stencil, I'm going to remove the letters that I want to paint because that's what I want to show up on the sign. So I'm going to go in carefully and remove these stenciled letters, these cutout letters. And careful to leave the center pieces of like the O's and that kind of stuff because you need that to make it into your letter. So now you can see choose. And then I'm gonna go through and remove these letters, again slowly because sometimes these pieces like to stick. All right, so there's our stencil. Now that we have that laid out, what we need is this transfer tape. So I'm going to start by pulling that off a little bit at a time, and I'm going to place it over what the majority of the stencil, where the majority of the stencil sits. This one isn't quite wide enough, but the other one is almost too wide. So I'm also going to do this as I work down the stencil, kind of push it down. Go the opposite way because that makes it easier, but that way you know you're getting a nice flat lay with your transfer tape to the end of that. So we'll cut that, put that up there. Oh, my dogs are barking. All right, so burnish that really well. And then what I'm going to do is lift the stencil again slowly because there are pieces like that that didn't quite pick up. So you're going to need to brandish that again. Same there. Make sure you're picking up all the pieces. There we go. And that's trash. So now we take our canvas that we're going to lay that on. And I'm just kind of eyeing it. Uh-oh. So I'm actually going to separate these out. So I messed up. The joy is a little too big. So what I'm going to do is separate these out, and I'm going to put the word choose here because I know that fits. And then I want to look at the word joy and see if I can get it to fit, if it was just not fitting quite right because of the way it's set against the other one. Ooh, just barely. Just barely fits. So we're gonna have to push that down. I got it to fit. That is why measuring is very important. So all I'm doing is burnishing this stencil on, making sure that I get it down nice as flat as I can here around, especially around all the edges of the letters. Okay. Push that down in nice and tight. All right, so now what we're gonna do is very, very slowly and carefully remove the transfer tape. I just kind of wiggle it down so that it's letting go of everything as it needs to. See right there, I have a piece that is really thin, so it didn't quite let go. So keep wiggling. One down, one more to go. Okay, so now I see some spots here that I just need to push down better. Make sure we don't have any bubbles around the edges of my letters. Okay, so now time for Mod Podge. This is kind of the fun part to me because, I don't know, it's just really relaxing. So you just take a small foam brush, get a little Mod Podge on it, just go through and kind of stipple it around. And if you do have to paint, do it with a very light touch so that if it doesn't go underneath any possible bubbles that you just don't see. Okay, so we're done with the Mod Podge. What that does is acts like a barrier for the paint so that it doesn't run off into too much of anything, anywhere that it's not supposed to be. And so now it's on to the paint time. So I really, really love doing this like dark brown wood with the white background and the black letters. So I have black paint here. This is actually outdoor exterior paint, but it doesn't have to be. And so I'm just gonna put a little bit in this container. I think I got this container at the Dollar Tree. And I'm just gonna dip that in there and start going around on my letters. Again, a very light touch, making sure to cover all the letters. You don't want to have any bare spots. And I may go over these letters twice just to make sure I get them nice and covered. You might also notice that I'm wearing an old t-shirt. Really, really cute, Jurassic Park. It's because if I get paint on it, I don't want to be so upset at myself for getting paint on like a nice shirt or a nice pair of jeans or anything. So that is my logic in that. Okay, so I did kind of mess up and go off my stencil there, but what I will do is grab some white paint and just paint over that. And that's why the background of these things, I like to be a color of paint that I already have. So now what I'm gonna do is go in and remove the stencil very slowly and very carefully, because there are centers of letters that will pop up at you and they have paint on them and that will get on you. So we are going to kind of do the slow and steady method there. The other reason you want to kind of stipple your paint is because you don't want it to be too thick where it does like pop up at you when you're removing the stencil. Very, very carefully removing that stencil from it. And toss that in the trash. So you can see there along the edge of the E, I accidentally got some right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this stencil as well. So it does look like I had a little bleeding up here and a little bit around the edge there. So before I get onto that, I'm going to remove the centers of these letters. And again, very carefully pick at them so that they come up in one piece without throwing paint at yourself. So there's the basis of the sign. What I want to do now is go in and clean up where I have splattered a little paint. So I'm going to grab some white paint and a really tiny brush. I grabbed an old towel so I could wipe my hands on it. All right, so now I've got white paint and a tiny, tiny paintbrush. I'm just going to take a little bit of that white paint and paint over where I got some of that black paint on it. And then just kind of fine tune around the edge of the letters there. All right, so here's our finished project. I think it turned out really cute, and I'm excited to give this to the person I have in mind for it. I think she'll really, really enjoy it and really appreciate it. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. You can finish this off with a like a coat of acrylic sealer or Mod Podge even. You can just coat that over it and let it dry. But wait until the paint is dry to do any of that so that it doesn't smear. And I would let this dry sitting, you know, straight down so that you don't end up having any paint that like drips. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it didn't go too long, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye. Hey guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel down below. Hit the like button for... Hey guys, don't forget to subscribe... Man. What my... First things first, we're gonna measure our space that we're gonna be placing our... So now, because this is my stencil, we want to remove the letters that we're actually going to... First things first, we need to measure our space that we're gonna be putting our... Whoop. There we go. Okay, it was like super cheap.